Okay, fight fans, fight fiends, welcome back to Manny's Thoughts. I, of course, Manny MTL or Manny Montreal. Make sure to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and obviously thefightcity.com. P.S. I am obviously sick as a dog. Let's get started. Okay, so obviously a little under the weather. It's been a busy week. I had 3 weigh-ins and 3 fights in the last 9 days. So it's been very busy. Make sure to check out our YouTube. I got plenty of videos going up on there on the Fight City YouTube. Make sure to check out thefightcity.com. We got great articles on the daily. We've been working very hard lately. We've got some really good stuff up. Speaking of being sick, I've been doing this show for a couple years now, and on the Fight City for over 100 episodes. And I haven't missed a week yet, so I'm not going to start now. This week was so busy. Instead of doing the regular congratulations, I'm just going to give you a quick run through of how the fights looked. We're going to start with Thursday night at the casino, Groupe Yvon Michel Casino Series. I don't understand why it opened the fight, because there was another fight that I'm not even going to mention where the guy was making his pro debut and it was a charity thing. That guy should have opened the show, because he was a perfect example of why people should have amateur careers before turning pro. Irregardless, opening the show, explosively might I add, Dwayne Diamond Durrell put down a beautiful 4-round unanimous decision. Although he skated through the fight, to be honest, it was an easy enough fight for him. He made it more difficult than he needed to. Dwayne's even better than that. So I'm looking forward to his next fight, because hopefully we'll get to see a bit more. And I think that's the end of 4-rounders for him, so we'll see what happens. Patras Volny scores a big TKO. The kid's got some real power. Looking forward to his next fight as well. Vishlan Dalkaev scores a unanimous decision. It was a decent fight. He got a pretty good opponent too. Next up, the queen of the Fight City, Mariev Diker, put down a tremendous performance, scores a unanimous decision of her own. She was also given a very tough opponent, but Mariev's just more talented. It was a beautiful fight on her part. That leads me to Dario Berdyshian, now 10-0. Also scores the unanimous decision. I believe they're going to be looking at giving him more rounds in the very near future. I've talked about him before. Make sure to look into him. The kid's for real. Super middleweight. Very interesting stuff. Last but not least, capped off the show. Gave out his best performance yet. And scores a big knockout to put the cherry on the sundae. What was a very great night of fights. Castillo Clayton scores a beautiful KO. He had an article written about him on Ring this week, so I'm very happy for this guy that people are starting to take notice of Castillo Clayton. That leads me to Saturday night here in Montreal. Again, we had a lot of pro fights go down. Eye the Tiger and Interbox, Videotron Eventco, despite not having American TV, decided to have a big card at the Bell Center, and it was a terrific night of fights. Almost 5,000 people. It was just honestly a jam-packed card of action. It was an easy choice if you were a fight fan on whether to go or not. Despite not having the American TV, like I've already mentioned, a lot of people showed up, and it was, gonna be a great night of fights. Now, I'm saying gonna be because for me, it was very emotional. I had some ups and downs on this card, and it's to be expected when, you have almost 10 plus fights. So let me get started. First up, opening up the card, I guess because there was no American TV, Demetrius Ballard versus Gergo Horvath. I've watched Horvath fight Eric Bazinian before. I didn't get to watch Demetrius fight because obviously it was the first fight, and I was actually held up at the door because of some issues, so I missed the fight. But from what I hear, it was a one-sided fight, and the ref stopped it after the third knockdown, because, what else was he supposed to do? To get started with the Interbox and Eye the Tiger boys. Ablay Kushinov, man, very precise, methodical boxing. It's very clean. It's very beautiful to watch. You can tell that these Kazakhs have deep amateur backgrounds. He is a tactician in there. Very beautiful stuff. I understand he's only on his second and third fight, but wow, very good stuff. Unanimous decision win for Metzer Germain. Been looking forward to him climbing back in the ring ever since he was on the scale and got the flu the last time. So that fight was cancelled. So it's been a little while for him. Happy he got the work in. It was, Maris was a tough customer, but, it was one-sided. Germain just did work. Batir Jukambayev, speaking of Kazakh sensations, this guy's mean. It's just mean. It's vicious. It's, again, to go back to the tactical things, he picks his spots and he picks his spurts. It's pro stuff. The kid's, only had 6 fights now, but he is definitely a pro. My first heartbreak was a swing fight that almost didn't happen. David Teru versus Pereira. Pereira won the split decision, and it was earned. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I feel a little bad for Teru. Honestly, I don't know if training camp was good for him or whatnot, but he didn't seem fresh or ready for this guy. And honestly, split decision loss, it really sucks. Next up, heavyweights. A lot of reporters and stuff were negative about this fight, but I mean, it's the heavyweights. None of that is Simon Keane's fault. Simon Keane fought basically the Pillsbury Doughboy Chalupa, and I think the guy actually exhaled air on the scale because he was scared not to make the limit. That's how big he was. Simon Keane got rid of him the way he was supposed to, and he improves his record. It is what it is. It's not his fault. I'm really looking forward to this farm boy getting to hit somebody that at least looks a little bit better. Like I said, it's not his fault. The heavyweight division's fucked, as we all know. Speaking of fucked, man, super welterweight Mian Hussein, who was previously undefeated, now had a TKO loss because of, it seems like a busted retina or torn retina. I don't know how severe it is, but obviously retinas are some serious stuff. If you like boxing and in this city, keep this guy in your mind. That is no joke. To me, he was winning the fight, but you're not, reporters forget this part. But these guys are risking their lives, and in this case, risking his eye. So, what do? You take the loss, or you lose your eye. So in the end, he did the right thing. His corner did the right thing. And, he can hold his head high because we all know what he's capable of. And reporters are just stupid in this town. So, speaking of what I'm talking about, Ghislain Manny Montreal versus Ricky Sismondo. Sismondo's one tough customer, man. Cannot take anything away from this guy. Personally, I thought Manny was just going to skate on this dude and get away with an easy victory. But that wasn't the case. One flash knockdown later, and it was Maduna trying to catch up and get the fight back. Now, kudos to Maduma for getting up off the canvas, not once but twice, and finishing out the fight, losing by unanimous decision. He announced his retirement. I don't know how good that is, because I didn't see something that would tell me that somebody should retire. What I saw was a Manny that wasn't punching, and it seemed like he had stuff on his mind. So, I wish him well. Anyone that really knows the guy knows he's a good guy, and I'm still looking forward to him maybe getting back in the ring or being involved in boxing in any way. I will definitely support him. Next up, the guy that stole the show, Stephen Butler. Bang, bang. The kid is just sensational. Jenks Trotter. Honestly, I thought the fight was going to go at least a couple rounds. Kid got rid of him in quick fashion. Stole the show. Next up, and got 2 belts, by the way. Now his second belt, I believe, the North American IBF. Good for him. Next up, David Lemieux versus Fabian Rios. Fabian Rios has to be given credit for being a tricky lefty. I think Lemieux thought it was going to be easier than what it was, but it's still a unanimous decision for Lemieux. He clearly won the fight. one of the reporters was talking about his face afterwards, and in my mind I was like, it's a fight. He doesn't mind it. It's part of what he does. He actually enjoys it. Now, personally, the reporter was trying to point out that Golovkin had exposed certain weaknesses and stuff, but I mean, it's a fight. The guy's gonna get in his punches. It was a unanimous decision. Get over it. I mean, nobody asked that of Rosado after his fights, so I mean, maybe Lemieux needs to get hit a little bit. Next up, Saskatoon, man. Seriously? The judges in Saskatoon should be ashamed of themselves. A unanimous decision for Paul Bisdel versus Frank Cotroni? My ass. Go fuck yourselves. And, God willing, boxing gods, that is, somebody realizes Frank's potential. Invest a little money into him. Get Paul Bisdel to come defend the title here in Montreal in a couple months with 3 judges from St. Leo. That's what I want. Man, I know Frank's probably taking it better than me, but fuck those judges in Saskatoon. Unanimous decision, my ass. On to a more positive note, going down this Friday night in Winnipeg. Ryan the Real Deal Ford, now training out of Grant Brothers Boxing, will be fighting Jodiel Zepeda. Now, first thing you're going to tell me is, oh, Zepeda's record. The guy's got 12 wins, 16 losses. 9 of his wins by KO, which means most of his wins come by knocking dudes out. But let's examine the losses, shall we? Because God knows, reporters don't do their homework. It's just easier to shit talk people. Alright, well, first up I want to point out that the only dude that's knocked him out and won by knockout was David Lemieux. And that was back in 2012. Everyone else I'm going to mention to you scored a unanimous decision win over him. So this guy likes going the distance. Let's point out who he's fought already, other than David Lemieux. Renat Saint-Just, Francie Netu, Steve Rolls, Eric Bazinian, Dario Berdician, Shaquille Finn. All unanimous decision losses. Are you ready for my prediction? Ryan Ford by KO. Why do I say this? Well, it's real simple. A lot of people might be pessimistic about Ryan Ford transitioning from MMA to boxing, and, some might just claim that it's because he can thump. Well, yeah, it's because he can thump. The guy's got real knockout power, and although skills and athleticism are things you can improve on, real power is not something that's built. You either have it or you don't, and he does. So even if it's a wonky punch, Ryan Ford is dangerous. And that's why I'm calling for the knockout win this Friday night in Winnipeg. Last but not least, if you get a chance, this Saturday, look into a really fun heavyweight, Andy Ruiz Jr. He's fighting this Saturday night. He's a small heavyweight, but he's an interesting heavyweight. Basically because he switches it up. He hits the body, he comes up top, he does combinations. He's got really good hand speed, and he can thump as well. So, if you're looking for a heavyweight fight, there's one you can watch and enjoy. I'm sick, and I'm going to be going back to bed. That's it for me this week. Look out for me next week. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. Look into all the pictures and videos I've been doing. I killed it this week. Sick as a dog. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next week.